AT&T plans to increase U.S. capital spending $1 billion and provide $1,000 special bonus to more than 200,000 U.S. employees, and that's because of what we did.
And AT&T isn't alone. Boeing, Comcast, and Wells Fargo also saying they're going to reward their workers thanks to the tax cuts that they are now getting, but not everybody's happy about those bonuses. Bill Kristol of the Weekly Standard tweeted this out. Isn't there something creepy about corporations giving cash bonuses to employees explicitly because of the passage of certain legislation or because of specific regulatory actions? Doesn't it have something of a road to a corporatist serfdom feel to it? But the president might not actually sign the tax bill until after the new year, and here's how Bloomberg describes the reason for the delay. Quote, under the pay-go law, automatic cuts to Medicare and other spending categories would be triggered by the tax bill in January because the bill is scored as increasing the deficit by $1.5 trillion over 10 years. Waiting until January means that those cuts would be delayed until 2019, and conveniently, by the way, after the midterm elections. A lot to get into on these tax cuts. Bill, do Republicans now own this economy for good or for bad because of this tax cut bill?
Absolutely.
They can take credit for it if it keeps going well, and if it goes in the tank, it's on them?
Absolutely, 100%. And I think the 18 midterms the economy is the make or break on it. I mean, I think we've had 3 straight quarters of higher GDP.
But I think most people would credit that to the Obama administration.
Possible,
they certainly set the
you get the
table
credit
for
if you're
it.
there. Whether it came out of the Obama administration and is now moving that way, you get the credit and you get the fault if you're in office.
If it's going so well, why are the election results so disastrous for Republicans?
Well, I think the Roy Moore thing was the greatest gift that the Republicans got.
Yeah, but that's just the most recent.
That would have been just awful.
Look at Election Day in November.
I'm torn. I mean, I understand what you're saying. There's part of me that I read a lot about challenging Trump and Bannonism and that whole wing, and I'd like to see it go down. But I think that the narrative may get changed because of the tax bill if the economy continues to grow.
But if the economy is going so well and you get credit whether you're there for better or worse, and I agree with you, it didn't turn out that way in the last round of election results.
Because that was an extraordinary circumstance. You had Roy, who was alleged
pedophile.
pedophile.
I'm not just talking about that. I'm talking about Jersey. I'm talking about Virginia. I'm talking about Westchester County.
Couldn't you make the argument, Richard, that voters rewarded Democrats for the economy if it was the Obama administration's economy, if it was Obama's economy?
The truism that if you're there, you own the economy seems to have lost out to a Trumpism, and Trump shenanigans are causing more people to move their vote than the state of the economy.
I don't think Republicans are suddenly going to be safe in the suburbs or in cities. What I'm talking about is in the larger picture. I think Republicans will still lose seats in 18, but if the economy is strong, they'll keep the majority. Because they may lose the suburbs, but they'll keep the exurbs.
Boy, you
and
got
they'll
to
keep
thread
the country.
the needle to do that.
It's a thread.
Dominic, if this tax cut is going to help Republicans, people need to feel wealthier as a result of it. And they might hear some of the reporting and think, oh, maybe I'm getting some money. But again, it's $20 a month maybe, or $20 a paycheck for most people. You think people are going to feel wealthier as a result of this paycheck or this tax cut?
Well, one, I just want to rewind,
Yeah.
and I hate to admit this, but Mr. Brodsky is right.
You always say that.
Because I always mean it.
He really does hate to.
He really hates it.
Right all the time, and you hate to
No,
say
you're
it.
not right all the time.
Just stipulate that you hate to say
Let's-
it. Just go
let's-
on.
let's move
I
past
stipulate to the great counsel
He
from
loves to
Harvard.
stipulate
There we
anything
go.
just to shut him up.
But he's right on Trump. Trump is a polarizing figure that's hurting his party. So you've rolled the dice. Notice I said that twice, because that's what really is happening with the economy. It may work. To answer your question, I don't know what the forecast holds for the economy.
Who knows? Right.
Right, but it's a gamble, and one could make the case that we shouldn't be gambling this way, giving permanent cuts to corporations and big business, but those same permanent cuts are not to the little guy, to the middle class. To answer your question, part of it is an illusion, and he's right about living in a bubble.
Sure.
For those of us that live in this region, all we know is we're losing our deduction. Not losing, but we're gonna be hurt.
You're losing it.
Okay, well, we're losing a good part of our deductions
Anything over
on our
10 grand,
homeowners,
yeah.
anything over 10 grand. But if you live in Florida or another state, to Bill's point, you might buy this and think that it's a good deal.
Bill's point is incredibly cynical. He doesn't really dispute the economics.
Nice to be
Welcome
here.
back.
Nice to be here.
That doesn't mean that you're not cynical. It means, well, welcome back, you cynic. It is that the fact that there is a small goose to the benefits that average people receive now will be enough to hide from them the fundamental economic truth, which is that the big money is coming out of their pockets and going to the big corporations.
I think there are two, and I have a column in Newsday today about this. I think there's two conversations going on in America. The first conversation is Trump is a lunatic, XYZ, for all these reasons, many valid, many trite. Conversation number two is Trump is a lunatic, blah, 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 but, and you fill in the sentence, it's usually, have you seen the market? Have you seen the GDP, the rest of it?
Big but, though.
That conversation may predominate in 18. It may grow larger than the other one. I think that's the question. Does it or doesn't it? And that's, the Republican Party is hanging in balance on that, on whether it does.
Before we move off this topic, I want to ask you, I don't normally agree with Bill Kristol all that often, but I do on that tweet, and I'm a little creeped out by these bonuses that came out from business. First of all, you know the White House reached out to a bunch of companies to try to see if they could get them to issue bonuses the day that the tax bill passes. Anybody else a little oogie on the fact that these businesses are issuing bonuses specifically because this bill passed?
That's the new world we're in. That's the world of campaign contributions. It's the world of tax cuts for the super mega wealthy.
But that doesn't answer my question.
It's the same thing. You're surprised by it. I'm saying
no, I'm uncomfortable
no big deal.
by it.
I am surprised and uncomfortable as well.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. Do you think it's by coincidence or accident with the AT&T merger?
Ooh, yeah, that's
On the same day. That's almost as staged as all of those positive comments that went the president's direction yesterday from Republican leadership. Did you watch that? I couldn't believe did you see it? How they stood up, how McConnell, how the Speaker of the House, Ryan, they all stood up. People that they have been at the president's throat from day one. He has been at their throats, and they all stood up and took turns.
Did you hear the one guy
kissing?
stood up and said, "Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain"? This is the Wizard of Oz kind of politics, where stuff is going on behind the scenes, and what they say in these press conferences won't matter.
That's the point with
those
politicians.
bonuses are going to pay for a lot of Christmases.
Well,
that's what resonates.
Isn't there? This only feels like a step away from a company saying, okay, if a Republican wins the presidential race, or if this state elects a Republican senator, bonuses. And that's a problem. Because that's almost bribery for a vote.
Yeah, I don't know if we're there really. Like, creeping me out, it doesn't creep me out. It seems like good politics to me. It's I supported the corporate tax cuts. I think it's you want them to be competitive. You want to be reflective of other economies around the world. So to me, I didn't look at it for a cynic. I didn't see it that cynically.
You don't have a problem with the AT&T merger where they're making demands that they get rid of CNN and all of these lists of priorities. You don't have a problem with.
Let me spend some time thinking about that because that's a good point.
Okay.
How about now?
Now.
Now?
It's
factored in. It's baked into the cake.
You're asking for time. We're not going to see you again until next Thursday. Is that going to be enough time?
That'll be enough time. Next Thursday.
Wait till
We'll have a whole
January.
thesis on this.
All right. Well, we'll take a break so that Bill can think about this a little bit. When we come back, how the next census could hurt New York and help Republicans.